Today, we will demystify the simple yet elusive process of selecting and preparing a cook-at-home steak that rivals that of any great steakhouse. I'm Chef Eric Rupert of Sub-Zero and Wolf. Welcome to the Living Kitchen. I have here a variety of cuts of beef. Virtually all the meat that I use is graded as choice. This grading system is a way of determining the marbling or the small amounts of fat evenly distributed throughout the meat, thus rendering, if cooked properly, a more juicy and tender steak. Now I have an 8-ounce beef tenderloin steak, also known as a filet, or if cut smaller, a filet mignon. The most tender of all the cuts, you can see the very fine marbling here. This is the versatile New York strip steak, which works well on the grill, in a sauté pan, or under the broiler. I'm of the opinion that a steak needs nothing more than some fresh cracked or ground black pepper, some sea salt, and good technique to draw out the intrinsic greatness that is contained within every good cut. Now you're ready to cook. Let's start with a seared filet of beef with a red wine pan sauce. This is a very classic and classy way that great restaurants the world over prepare this cut. Heat a large sauté pan over high heat. Season the fillets with salt and fresh ground black pepper. Place the clarified butter in the pan and carefully place the steaks in the butter. Reduce the heat to medium-high and allow the meat to sear on each side for about 3 minutes or until each side is nice and crispy brown. Resist the urge to turn the steaks over repeatedly. This deprives them the chance to get really brown. When they are well browned on both sides, place in the preheated oven for about 5 or 6 minutes. Take them out and transfer them to a plate to rest. When meat is cooked, the juices within become very active and move throughout the muscle tissue. If you cut it open too soon, the juices will come running out onto the board instead of staying in the meat. Pour off any of the excess fat that may be in the sauté pan and place over medium heat. Add the shallots to the pan and stir until they are just a bit brown. Add the wine to the pan and turn heat to high. Now reduce this to about 3 tablespoons and add the thyme and the beef demi-glace. And reduce to about 3/4 of a cup. Whisk in the butter and adjust the salt and pepper if needed. A little bit goes a long way. This gives me 4 generous portions for our 4 perfectly cooked beef tenderloin steaks. Next, I'm preparing a T-bone steak in the Wolf electric wall oven in the broil mode. Place 2 20-ounce T-bone steaks on a Wolf broiler pan and seasoned with some sea salt and some fresh ground black pepper. Now I have an oven rack in the 5th position, and I place the steaks in the center of that rack and close the oven door. Another advantage of the Wolf electric ovens is the ability to broil with the oven door closed so the smoke does not escape during the cooking. After about 6 minutes, turn the steaks over and continue to broil for another 4 or 5 minutes. Remove from the oven and allow to rest just the same as the fillets. Then they'll be ready to eat. The last steak I'm preparing today is a New York strip steak on the legendary Wolf infrared char broiler. Now when using the char broiler, I always make a point of turning on the hood at the same time I turn on the char broiler. This creates airflow patterns in the room sufficient to remove all the smoke from the char broiler. The infrared burner is a very hot 1700 degrees Fahrenheit and will serve me very, very well in charring the outside of this 16-ounce New York strip steak, along with some red onions that I've marinated in balsamic vinegar and olive oil for about a half an hour. Now, I preheated my char broiler for about 15 minutes. I seasoned the steaks with some sea salt, some fresh cracked or ground black pepper, and I place them on the grill. Allow the steaks to really get charred and flip them just once. Meanwhile, I'm giving these onions a nice little char, caramelizing the sugar in the onions as well as the sugar that's in the balsamic vinegar. The smoke that comes up from the burner is an important part of the flavoring of the meat, and it will pass by the onions too. Remove them from the char broiler and allow them to rest for a few minutes. What we've done here will give you the confidence you need to make these great steaks that any chef in the world would be proud to serve.